The Digital Circles Podcast, giving a voice to Northern Ireland's business network. Brought to you by Private Label People, with your host, Paul Mooney.
Hello, wonderful listeners. Welcome back to the Circle Back Show. I am Paul Mooney, as usual, and I've got Robert Rickey. Hello, Robert.
Hello, Paul. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very, very well. And as well as your good self, we have Mr. Michael Elliott.
What about you?
I am just looking through my notes from last week, and we had David in with us, David Mason.
Uh-huh.
I was really hoping you were going to say David Wine in there.
David Wine. The
As
wine
it's been
man.
referred to, you know.
What I've actually been calling him for some reason, because when I think of wine, I think of France.
Yeah, okay.
I keep calling him David Mason.
Oh, well, yeah, works.
So I think we should rebrand him.
What Robert's referring to here is that's why I have David stored on my computer as David Wine. And David, if you're listening, please don't take offence to that. It's a habit I got into back in the day when I would meet people out and about on the town, and they might get entered into my phone as Mary Lavery or Jenny the Bot.
Well, Mary Lavery kind of worked there for a bit because that is his surname. But whenever you followed up with Mary the Bot, I get the reference to the bars. That also kind of brings me back to. I know we're going to be speaking about David and his business in a bit, but it brings me back to Larry David and Curb Your Enthusiasm. There's a great episode of Larry, and he refers to people as exactly that. So their first name followed by a descriptor. That's very, very funny. Well worth checking out.
Yeah, I would be guilty of the putting names into the phone thing, like Tommy Arnold's or something.
Tommy Arnold's is a good man to know when you're hungry, though, I'd imagine.
Arnold's, wow, jeez, yeah. Some strange shenanigans in there on a Friday, Saturday night. Mousetrap burgers and all that. Do you remember those?
Oh, aye. They not still a thing?
It's not. Oh, yeah, no, I'm thinking of Spuds.
Yeah,
I'm
I
getting
was gonna say,
confused.
you're thinking of
Yeah, Spuds. Arnold's was good too, yeah. Those big half-pound bacon and cheeseburger things they used to do. And
So we're just diving straight into food then this week.
Yeah.
We're no mucking about.
yeah, no, it goes with the wine. Nice big bottle of Cabernet Sauvignon and a half-pound cheeseburger.
Myself.
But no, I thought David was excellent in giving us a little bit of an education into the nights that he puts on, the wine tasting evenings, and I'm busting to go to one now, I have to say, just to see what the sort of crack that goes on and sample the atmosphere.
Well, you got your invite, so I'm surprised you didn't take him up on it straight away.
I know. I was looking at the dates. Some of them are Thursday nights, Sunday nights, I think. So I'll and maybe a Monday night as well. So I'll have to.
Who are you texting? Are you texting him now?
He said it's Davy Wine. Yeah, but he's done very well because he started off just going into a local pub, doing a wee tasting night, and it's becoming a really big thing. These tasting, not just wine, but whiskey. They have wine and cheese nights,
Pairings and all that. Yeah. It's great. I mean, I thought it was a great example of one of these more personalised businesses where he goes in and he's getting to know the customers, for want of a better phrase, as he goes, and like catering how the night unfolds as it's happening. It's just fascinating, is it?
Yeah, for me there were so many different avenues and areas that in terms of what a business should be doing, he was doing exactly that. And it goes back to that more, better, new. A lot of people might sort of look at what he's doing and put it into the new category. It's not. And that would be wrong, because you should do more first, then better, then new. He's not doing new. He's actually doing more. It's in the more category, because he's in the wine business. The places where he goes to, the bars, the restaurants, obviously they do food, but they also do alcoholic, non-alcoholic drinks. So all of them are still inside the exact same business that they're doing, and they're also kind of not. So it's nothing new. I don't even think it's in inverted commas better, because it's not that they're trying to sell wine or a better version of wine. So it's just more, which is absolutely brilliant. And then what he's been doing, it's almost like refining And then also at certain parts, he's been partnering. Whenever he talked about, I think it was down in Portaferry, he said one of the first ones that he did, he was having to do a trolley dash around Lidl to get the food in. And it was like that's not going to work long term. Yeah, brilliant. Get it going. Get a version 1 out there, and then kind of realise and go, hang on a wee second, I can't do this every single time.
Well,
and he partnered then with was it Big Cheese in Belfast?
Yeah, he did partner with them, I think.
Sounds like another name you'd put in your phone. Big Cheese.
I think I've got a Big Cheese. But actually, what you're right. What he was doing is taking things that they're not new ideas. You know, food and drink, not a new idea. Entertainment that comes to you, not a new idea. Storytelling, not very much, not a new idea. You know, you could argue the original form of entertainment, but he's just combining them all well, and it sounds as though he's, you know, as you say, refining it down and keeping his sort of like customer base coming back. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
I also like the idea of the way he was curating an offer. I really like that, because curating an offer, I don't think an awful lot of people inside business do that. They're very lazy with it, whereas David really wasn't. There was a real thought process behind it, especially down to he was going into bars and restaurants, and he deliberately said that he did not want to take away from the trade of the bar, the likes of, say, a reception drink. Right, straight away, you're taking that first interaction away from the very place that you're trying to help or partner with, and not doing that was very clever. And also, you know, I don't know about you guys, but whenever you sort of get greeted and you got a reception drink, it's a bit hit and miss, the amount of people who really enjoy a glass of champagne or fizz or something like that as soon as they come in. Some people maybe prefer a pint of Guinness, some people prefer a pint of lager or a short or a cocktail or whatever it is. So that's taken away the trade from the bar.
Well, the other thing is, he was saying that he's not scared of giving people something that they hate either. You know, I thought that was kind of an interesting approach, but it's going to be a conversation topic.
Yeah,
you know?
because you are there at the end of the day to try something different. So the fact that he's pushing you to try something different, it creates that offer. It makes sense.
I want to try that Buckfast Reserve he was talking about. It sounded nice. But it also made me think about, because the beer industry and the beer manufacturers, a lot of them have went down the zero alcohol route. That's really common now. I mean, Guinness Zero, things like that, and there's a lot of them. You'd think now you'd probably start seeing that with wine a bit more if they can.
I think it's very much a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a good section in most
Schlur,
supermarkets
are you talking
now.
about? Yeah.
No.
Bottle of Schlur, alcoholic wine.
That is the best thing about Christmas is Schlur. Like I am,
Brilliant.
but I think it's like the beers have gone through this sort of a bit of an explosion of different types over the years. Because it wasn't that long ago, like craft beers were brand new. You know, you'd never heard of them before. IPAs were not a thing, and then they become absolutely huge. It was kind of like lagers and stouts. that was about the height of it. And now having these different categories that appeal to different people. And I think wine's kind of always had that. It's always had, obviously, the different colours, and then the one in the middle, the rosé, and then you've also had sparkling, non-sparkling. You've then in the champagnes, you have the countries. There's so many different types and different statuses, and I just don't think people have explored them enough. The way that I think it all came around from whiskies, because there were so many different whiskies, and not just Scottish and Irish. There was different genres within that particular thing, and then the likes of gins kind of caught on, but wine's always had it.
Yeah, as you say, it seems to move in trends quite a lot. You get it was the stouts and just the beers, and then it was pale ales, craft beers, things like that, which I know you're a big fan of, Mike. You like those?
Yeah, no, I like anything you can be poncy about, to be honest.
But then it was gin. Gin went massive for a while. I was actually talking to a girl and her husband who ran a bar in Belfast, and they said at one stage vodka sales dropped by 70% because everybody was just drinking gin.
I have a controversial view on gin.
Oh,
I don't think they taste different at all.
I was just about to say exactly
Like
the
at
same
all,
thing.
unless they're mixing in some like extra flavor to it. They all taste the same.
But I think that's what
think.
that's what they were kind of attempting to do.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, it's not just the gin, it's the mixer that goes with it and the additives.
Yeah.
Right. I can remember actually being, and I think you know this story, Paul, but I remember being in a pub, and somebody of the Ponzi fraternity, who we know, wasn't you, Mike, and they went in and said, "I'll have a brand of gin, like a Hendrix," and they had asked for a particularly, well, I wouldn't call it fancy, but Fever Tree tonic, which at that stage it was kind of unknown. I would say it was only in certain bars in Belfast. And then they said, I can't remember the exact vegetable, but it was pretty out there. It was like a cucumber. And they said, would you have a bit of cucumber for this? And this particular pub was Rough and Ready, spit and sawdust type of pub. And I think the barman said something along the lines of, I'll take out the expletives, but this ain't a greengrocer's.
Yeah. They did start getting proper wacky. I mean, people were throwing bags of Haribo into their gin at one stage. It was, I can't say anything because I remember going to a match one time and we were getting a supporters bus. And do you remember the gin was doing the rounds with honeycomb in it?
Yeah.
I stopped it on Sandra's for a carry out. On Sandra's on the Krieger Road.
Yeah.
Because I had the gin.
For reference, that's a massive sweet shop.
Yeah. And I had the tonic, but it didn't have the honeycomb. So I went, that's Sandra's. So, yeah, Ponzi behaviour at football matches.
Sort of on a slight tangent, back in the day, I used to spend quite a lot of time in the Errigal Inn on the Ormo Road. And at one point, during the summer, I took a wee fit of deciding that I was going to drink shandies. But this was the first time I'd asked for a shandy in the Errigal. And I went up to the bar and said, can I have a shandy, please? And the guy just looked at me as with three heads and said, we don't do cocktails, mate.
Well, what do you call the Bittles bar? The guy that runs it, he was getting a bit of grief, wasn't he? Because he refused to serve somebody a Coca-Cola about a year ago, or maybe more, probably more.
Oh, I think I saw an
He said they were taking up space in his bar and he should be drinking a pint of Guinness or something. But and I actually seen him being interviewed about it recently, and he said he would do it again if he felt the need to. So that's his bar, I suppose. Yeah,
fair enough.
But some of the bars that David is doing those nights in, I have to say, are great little pubs. They're old fashioned. The Races Bar in Newton Ards is a great wee pub.
I've not been.
It's a lovely wee pub. It has a nice wee open fire and stuff when you go into it. It's it's good, and it's a lot of local people, and it's well known in the town. So.
I think too what he's doing for local businesses and for his own business obviously as well, which a lot of people aren't doing and they really should be doing, is he's crafting footfall, as in that footfall is not there. And he was talking about it whenever he was speaking to one of the pubs, and they said, well, look, our Monday night's kind of a bit dead. And you can go down the route of, you can sit there and do nothing and hope it gets better. That's what the majority of people do, right? Or they go for something that they'll call tried and tested, but I call it tired and tested. Like it really is tired. In a pub, it would be something like a pub quiz, right? And it's so old, and then they don't put any effort into it, and then they wonder why it doesn't work, and they don't run it for long enough to get any sort of data back on it. That doesn't make any sense. Whereas he is crafting that footfall by trying something more. Right, something different, but it's not too different in that some people drink wine, some people go to this. It's something interesting, and the fact that he's doing the likes of tickets for it, either through the bar or through his own site, and I would hope as well. One thing that I'm really sort of a pain in the ass about is making sure that he's got the details of the audience, right? Creating the audience list, making sure that you've got that email address, you've got that text message or that mobile phone number, you've got some way of recontacting those people, because they're not just going to go to it once. And also, if they've gone and done a wine and cheese night, or a wine and fish, or wine and food, or wine on its own, whatever it is, there's other things that they do. There's other products that they're going to purchase at exactly the same time. So building that audience, and building that list allows you to do an awful lot with it.
It's great the hospitality industry has people like David doing what he's doing, because they, as we all know, hospitality got it really tight and has had really tight for quite some time, and they look at things like, okay, let's bring a restaurant element into the bar, let's serve food, and they want people to come in and eat because that's where they make more money. It's a bit like we were talking about service stations the other week, and you go in, they're losing money on the petrol, so it's what they can then get you to purchase outside of that. But I mean, it was then going into, right, we'll get a bit of live entertainment in. Maybe we'll do a bingo night or a quiz night, something like that. But this has opened up another avenue as well. And probably years ago, as you said earlier, bars probably would have looked at it and went, this is sort of in detriment to the bar. He's bringing in different types of bottles of wine here, and he's giving them a drink, and we're supposed to be making money behind the bar, but actually
they're in the door.
That's closed mind thinking, isn't it?
Yeah, and also it's like they come into the bar, they do something that they're there to do, and they go, this is quite a nice little bar. And maybe we'll come back another night whenever they're not doing something. But also then not taken away from the bar. But definitely the hospitality trade, it's had it in the neck from a number of different avenues. And of course, the cynic in me would say most of it's been governmental, right? Never a fan of the government. But you go back as far as like smoking ban. Like, I know it is a good thing in the long run, but that had a massive impact on especially bars. They had to rejig the whole scenario, and then the likes of more recently, like lockdowns, things like that, and also the amount of red tape they have to go through. You're talking about a live band. When you try putting a live band inside your pub or your bar or restaurant, you're going to have this and that and the other, and they don't make it easy. And yeah, it does need all the assistance that it can get, and having ideas and having somebody like David out there doing it. And what I also loved is the idea of gamifying something. I never thought that you'd be able to gamify a wine sort of tasting experience, if you want to call it that. Gamifying in business is absolutely brilliant. He was talking about was it Wine Wars?
Yeah.
I thought that's absolutely great. As you said, Paul, that sounds like a night outside
in Hillsborough. Yeah. The proper Wine Wars. But look, there's plenty of change in scope in the hospitality industry, and then especially nowadays, young people drink differently from how our generation. I mean, young people now, they tend to go out later, but then they just go on the shots.
Yeah.
See the price of shots, by the way.
I know.
I nearly had a heart attack recently. I had to buy shots for like a family thing,
and that's the drinkers. I do feel like the younger generation has a much bigger percentage of non-drinkers. But they still want that social interaction. They still want to be going somewhere. They've got to change it. Like in our day, all you had to do was serve pints and drinks, and that was your offering. Bit of music. You got to try harder now. You've definitely got to try harder to get that audience.
Absolutely. Well,
so gamifying things, curating offers, sending them emails. You gotta be doing that in any business.
Let's face it, we're all winners. For your chance to win fantastic prizes from our rolling monthly competition, just head on over to digitalcircles.click/give or follow the link in the description.
Well, I've got some random facts actually about wine. It's such an ancient thing. When you read into the history of wine, it's gone back to Roman times. It's crazy actually. It's some very interesting stuff.
That's what you were talking about the boys watching in the Colosseum, watching the gladiators, and David says they were drinking vinegar.
Yeah. Well, it's raising a toast comes from ancient Rome. I think most people might know that, but it was when they started dropping a piece of toasted bread into a glass of wine to temper undesirable tastes or excessive acidity. That's
Wow.
where raising a toast comes from. Oh, did you not
I mean,
know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Did not know that. And these days we just call that floaters in your wine. But,
Yeah. So they actually deliberately put it in?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if it was Kingsmill bread or whether it was Ormo or what it was.
Hope it was Hovis. I like a good Hovis.
Where do you stand on the proper butter or fake butter debate?
Oh, that! Don't get me started on that. I go into the house and I literally look at things in the fridge and go, "What's that doing in here?"
I quite like the fake butter.
Oh, Michael!
I know you're not supposed to. In fairness, every person you see anyone online talking about health stuff is now telling you to stay away from them. They say like go back to real butter.
yeah,
yeah.
real fats in it.
If it spreads, I'm not interested.
I was going to say it spreads easier.
Yeah, I am not interested in that. I do. Big shout out to a local one as well. Dramara butter. That is
Yeah.
that's top. That's my go-to.
Is it Dramara or Dramona? Is it Dramara?
I think it's Dramara. It's like a yellow and blue packaging.
It'll do. Looks like butter, tastes like butter. It's definitely not butter. Is that what was the advert?
Is that utterly
Utterly
butterly?
butterly?
Oh, I don't know. I can't believe it's not butter. No.
Can't believe it's not butter. Was that what it was? Yeah. John Leyden, I think, used to do the advert for that. But anyway, here's one. You like this one? Early Roman women were forbidden to drink wine, and a husband who found his wife drinking wine was at liberty to kill her.
Wow.
Wow. Okay.
Jeez, it's a bit harsh.
I mean, it seems overkill. Pardon,
Pardon the pun.
Yeah.
Do I smell Lambrusco in there? Yeah. To quench their thirst, people drank wine instead of water.
You went straight to Lambrusco.
A man of class, Michael. A man of class.
That's the first wine you think.
Here's another one. To quench their thirst, people drank wine instead of water centuries ago. During that time, water wasn't clean all the time, and natural fermentation, when the wine is made, could kill germs. So,
I did know that one actually.
you did?
Yeah.
That was dangerous. There's people out there who don't know that and are now going, so you mean I don't have to drink water?
It comes back to that conversation where I was taking the mick out of Michael and for his 4 litre bottle of water. Can you imagine if that was like he's knocking around with 4 litres of wine a day? Oh yeah, the water's not clean enough. I have to drink 4 litres of vino here.
Sorry, lads. This guy on Instagram said I have to drink 3.7 litres of water a day, or wine a day.
We'll soon be able to check out where that's been happening or not by the editing quality of the podcast.
I'd say so, yeah. And then the phrase drinking to one's health, do you know where that originated?
Hit me.
So that was in ancient Greece, where the host of dinner would take the first sip of wine to assure that the wine served the guests wasn't poisoned.
Oh,
That's
Okay.
quite good. I like that. So he was basically putting himself forward as the guinea pig, and then
He was.
everybody else's health was assured.
That's correct. Correct.
I've got a. It's a slight aside, but it's at the same feast. Those would be you'd be talking about there. The bits of the lower half of the loaves of bread would be thrown out the peasants, and the top half would go to the top table with all like the landlords and aristocracy, and that's where the upper crust comes from.
Very good. I like that.
I think you actually told me that before. As a member of the upper crust,
Well,
you are.
I have many enthralling anecdotes as a member of the upper crust.
Save it for your wine and cheese nights. Then also, women are more inclined to the effects of wine than men. This is partly because they have less enzymes in the stomach lining that are needed to break down alcohol simply.
Wow.
I think the same Roman guy that came home and his wife was drinking wine without him has just made that up.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
Just
He
being
says,
sexist, that's it.
here's the reason why I've got to kill you. But yeah, some fun facts there about wine. But yes, it's a very ancient drink. And as David was saying, he tends to prefer the wines that are from far-flung places that you wouldn't necessarily associate with wine. Most people think of Italy or Australia, New Zealand, or
I suppose they're
France.
they're the brand leaders, and I guess anybody who's really into something knows more than the average Joe. I guess you'd want to call it that. So it's like the brand leaders of France, Australia, California, those sorts of things. Whereas he was talking about Lebanese and Uruguayan It's like, I'm not a big wine person at all, never really have been. I'd never even realised they made wine.
Well, we have some listeners in Montevideo
Oh,
due to some fact finding there. So if they want to invite us over to sample their local wineries, feel free, guys.
no, but I'm just impressed with the pronunciation there.
Montevideo.
Yeah,
It comes naturally to me as a
no
seasoned
harmful,
wine
but I would
drinker.
have assumed you'd have been a Montevideo man.
That's actually the
Big
only,
Monty's video shop.
that's the only word in this podcast that they don't have to translate.
Quite proud of himself now. Yeah, thanks. That's a compliment. But it's different as well now. People do a lot more at home. When David was talking, he does some private events too. So we go into your house and people are bringing outside tasting nights. They're bringing in
Well, we've done it before whenever we had, sort of like a business networking event for a week long, and we obviously have had houses where we're doing the event during the day, and sometimes you're struggling for an idea because you can't go out to a restaurant every night of the week, especially if you got a week long thing. You can't go out to a pub; it gets overdone. So, bringing somebody in to talk, give a bit of history, a little bit of interesting stories, while people are having a glass or two of the different reds, whites, whatever it may be. It was great. It was really, really good. Something completely different, and everybody absolutely loved it.
Yeah, no, it was excellent. It really was, and then it's good for the manufacturers as well, because some of the drinks that they're bringing, there's no way you would go into an off license and go, I'm going to try that, or I'm going to get that. So they bring you into a whole new thinking of what you might like and what you're prepared to try. So as David said himself, he will bring in something that he knows you're not going to like, just to make you treasure the one you do like even more then.
And definitely sell while you're there. It's like you have a captive audience there. If somebody tastes something and they go, haven't tried that Uruguayan before, that tastes awesome, I'll take a bottle, or try and get in the back case.
Yeah. No, it works well. Then you've got things like well-being retreats and yoga and retreats, things like this now that are going into private locations, and they're bringing maybe 4 or 5 people or maybe 10 people, and they're bringing them all for a weekend, and something like what David does fits in well to that too, because it's a sociable thing. It's not, it's like David said, it's not, right, let's all go into a bar and get absolutely blocked here. And I
think wine too, because of the connotation, it's like you can put it with well-being. You can, because people will have a couple of glasses. It's sort of seen to be a little bit more refined.
It reduces your risk of heart disease, as my dad always told me.
4 bottles in, 4 liters. He was the protagonist of the 4 liters. But it's also that thing where David was talking about. It's changing as well. Like what he talked about, like the wine having like a gatekeeper. Almost like golf. It's like, you will not play on our course. You will not drink wine. That's breaking down. That's absolutely breaking down, because some people don't like beer. Some people don't like shorts. And they've been, I think, over the years kind of been excluded from wine because they're not posh enough. It's like, why is that? And people like David are breaking down those barriers and allowing people to taste it and say, actually, I quite like that. That's good.
He was giving a wee bit of an education into also some of the wineries, the cheaper bottles of wine, the very small margins of profit that they make. And it actually reminded me, I went to a chocolate factory tour in Edinburgh, and they were talking about the same thing with chocolate. It's the people who produce the cocoa beans. It's how little they make on those sort of farms and things that are producing those. It's slave labour in places. That's not right. So it's if you do see a bottle of wine, it's knowing maybe what bottle of wine is produced in the best way possible for the people who make it to actually make a living. So
it's also then going to more local places as well, like trying to stay away from the big supermarkets, the big companies, because at the end of the day, that they're up to that. They are squeezing margins left, right and centre. So trying to take your hard-earned money and going and spending it with somebody else to make it more hard-earned money again, and keep everything as local as you possibly can, and whether that's wine or food or services, keep it local.
You said something interesting I didn't know earlier on about the fair trade stuff.
About the chocolate.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you've chocolate bars that have fair trade stickers on them, and the likes of Sainsbury's, places like that, and people think, well, that's good because it's being grown fairly, and the people that are producing it are getting paid a fair salary. But actually, on the tour that I did, they were saying it's basically like a minimum wage. It's still very, very little. So actually, if you want them to be paid properly, you should be buying the likes of a Kraft chocolate. But people will balk at the idea of that because that could be £4, £5 for a bar of chocolate. Whereas what you're used to is going into your shop and buying a Snickers for, whatever Snickers cost now is less than £1.
Yeah.
And where you can buy 3 for £1 is you always see now. So you end up eating all 3 of them on the
Where
car.
are you buying your Snickers from?
Obviously wholesale.
Down to Macro, remember Macro? Yeah, but it's what they're saying is that I think it's 0.02% of the population will only purchase a chocolate bar that would fit into that Kraft category because the pricing is so high. But yet 20% of the population in the UK will purchase a specialty type of coffee and not bulk at the price.
Yeah.
And that's changing. Like that wouldn't have been the norm back then. So maybe the likes of the Kraft chocolatiers, they've got a lot of room for growth there. You can look at that 2 different ways, and I think in the likes of business, you can look at it and say, "Oh, we've only got 0.02% of the market," or you can look at it and say, "Well, we've got 99.98 to shoot for." So the world is kind of like our oyster.
They're quite similar products when you think about it. Like they're both sort of mood enhancing sort of things to consume, and actually you could see it growing. As long as, because people do get kind of addicted to it as well, chocolate, as well as they do with coffee.
And wine.
Why are you looking at me like that? I have a chocolate addict, I have to say. I feel
really?
it's literally every day. I have to get some sort of chocolate fix. Shocking. It's not good.
Do you know, I think I'm not really addicted to chocolate or coffee, but I think I might be developing an addiction to ice cream.
Oh.
Right.
I just absolutely love ice cream.
Big Rob Fusco.
And that I was put that in your phone. That's my name. Rob Fusco. But there's kind of like there's 3 different types. I'm doing some ice cream tasting nights down Portaferry, by the way.
Hope you're not transporting it all the way from Saintfield.
It won't last. Oh, what's happened to the ice cream? Oh, it must have melted. Why is it all dripping down your chin? But there's definitely 3 different types. You've got your very much standard, which I stay away from, and then you've got, I guess you'd call it really top quality sector, and then you've got a different sector, in my opinion.
Oh.
The different sector, there is only 2 places that I can think of that do this other sector. One is Fusco's, Woodstock Road. The other is Brennan's on the way down to Newcastle. They both do a very similar type of ice cream, and it's not like any others. We do need to do, forget about Montevideo tour. We'll do a tour of ice creams, and we'll do tasting and sampling it. You could do ice cream and wine. That'd be good fun.
This sounds like my 3rd year geography field trip.
Yeah. Murlock Bay. Yeah, we all went to Murlock.
Okay.
But I had a Brennan's the other night. I was on the way down to Newcastle. I was dropping somebody off, dropped my daughter off down in Newcastle, and we went to go into a place in Newcastle. I will not mention any names. And the service was appalling, almost non-existent. So I just sort of sat around going, what's happening here? I couldn't work out. To which then my wife said to somebody, "Am I invisible?"
Oh.
And then we turned around and left. And I says, "I know the place. We'll go to Brennan's on the way back up the road in Dundrum." Dundrum?
Yeah, that's it. The service station, isn't it, on the way in?
Yeah. And they do that ice cream. I've had it loads and loads of times, but they do the same as Fusco's. And it's tremendous. The one in the middle is kind of like I would call it like Morelli's or Maud's, you know, like really, really good quality
stuff.
ice cream, which is, for me, that's kind of like my run-of-the-mill type of stuff.
It's your everyday ice cream.
That's my everyday ice cream. I won't go to the Blue Nun Lambrusco ice cream. I'm sticking in the Californians, but my favorite is definitely the Uruguayans or the Lebanese ice cream of Brennan's and Fusco's.
Did somebody tell me that Ben and Jerry's was basically invented by two guys who smoked a lot of cannabis and they just used to like putting in mad flavours, and then somebody told me they read a book about this, and Häagen-Dazs basically, there was loads of mad stuff going on with Ben and Jerry's in the early days where they're like their wee vans that they were selling out of were getting burnt out randomly.
Okay.
And then they had it in their heads that Häagen-Dazs were trying to erase them from the ice cream map, like Ice Cream Wars.
Ice Cream Wars,
Ice Cream
yeah.
Wars, yeah.
Did I hear right? I think Häagen-Dazs, the only thing I know about these is really Häagen-Dazs is a fake word.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
we
made
covered that on one of these.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Glad to see you were listening, Mike.
cool story, huh?
We'll arrange a doctor's appointment after the show here. But Häagen-Dazs it's fed India thing, and then it comes up with a.
Well, I've
name for quality
exhausted
and
my ice cream knowledge, I'm afraid.
well, do you know where's really good for an ice cream, and it's sort of traditional in a way. It's almost like, do you know, like Cornish type ice cream.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
The Cabin in Donaghadee. If you're ever
Okay.
in Donaghadee, go to the Cabin. It's a really old school little shop that sells like sweeties in a jar, that sort of thing. But they do really lovely ice cream.
I have to go to Donaghadee this afternoon.
Yeah, well, while you're down there, visit David, and he's not too far from there. Well, there's been many debate in the office this morning about numerous things, television shows we spoke about last week, and that debate's still on raging. Because have you caught up in Blue Lights?
I've caught up Blue Lights now, yeah. It's listen, I mean, it's still, I love the show. And I love getting to know the characters a bit better and all that, so.
When you say you've caught up, are you...
Not fairly up to speed now.
okay.
I've still got like one or two to go. And you guys, did you, when we were last talking, I think you were sort of midway through the reindeer one?
I've completed. I completed it in one sitting. So did Robert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still haven't
Same
got over
sitting.
it. Yeah, I still haven't got over it. It was pretty intense.
Have you seen the memes appearing everywhere of the stalker woman like bursting into the Duke of York? I've seen these. No, they're all over.
I'll have to get a look at
All over
those.
social media.
But I didn't realize. I only learned this week that the guy who stars in it, it's actually his story.
Yeah. That's it.
It's like that brought a whole new level of intensity to it. It's like, how did he, like, what he went through on the program, and then he's having to relive all of that again.
Yeah.
And whenever you're shooting TV show, obviously, like multiple cuts, multiple takes, takes months. Yeah, that really blew me
It
away.
could be like a sort of a form of therapy for him to
I
just
hope so.
get it out and on the page, you know?
Hope so.
Sinister.
But he's been doing a lot of interviews as well and stuff like that. I see him on the circuit of TV chat shows and stuff.
His profile has just gone through the roof. Like,
And he was a great actor in it as well.
Aye,
Like, I know it's his own story, but I suppose it's difficult. It's even another thing of like maybe he wasn't an actor beforehand, and now he's
Is he actually the guy that's in it?
yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
As
I
far
thought he
as I'm
just wrote
aware,
it.
yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, that makes it even more sort of touchingly difficult. Yeah, if anybody hasn't watched it, then you'll understand why we're quite taken with it. It was quite enthralling but creepy at the same time. Though I think I said last week there was light moments in it. I'm not quite sure what I was thinking, because when I thought about that back, I went,
Probably the
"Was
credits.
it?" Yeah, the credits are good. It's like going back the roads, like the road out of Larne.
Your mate Kenny, he's not going to be happy. And also, congratulations to Lauren for winning the Irish Football League.
Yeah, fantastic achievement.
Two in a row.
I was being very harsh on Larne. Larne's a great wee town, and there has been fantastic things going on in Larne since Larne was taken over by Kenny, and the real community spirit down there, which is great to see. But
It's amazing that such a small town in Northern Irish terms has done so much and so different as well, especially in the football scenario. So I know that Kenny's team have really worked. Not the football team on the pitch, but the business team have been working extremely hard for a number of years. So it's great to see all of that coming to fruition and kind of, I suppose, sticking it to the bigger clubs that they can compete both on the pitch and probably competing better off the pitch as well. They're doing things off the pitch even better than the so-called big traditional clubs.
Yeah, it's it's great to see. They've done fantastic work. But that actually brings me to something. What's your favourite lesser spotted Ulster place?
You back on the roads again?
Oh,
Well, not so much roads, but like maybe a wee geographical location that you go, do you know what? I really like it here. This is a bit of me. This wee place.
okay.
Bronyell's mine. Only joking. I would say I like Crawfordsburn. It's very hello, but it's
I was going to say Crawfordsburn.
were you?
Yeah, I love Crawfordsburn. It's lovely.
What's that then?
Huh? Very good.
It's sort of not very Northern Irish in a way, isn't it? It's a bit more like you're in the Cotswolds or something.
Well, it's got all the bits that you want, but just not like you're not going to go there and find big chains and stuff. It's all like sort of smaller businesses, but they're all quite high end. You've got your beach, you got the golf club, and you got nearby, and that's a hell of a place. Like gorgeous, great looking spot too.
Yeah, I think I'd have to say kind of like down around Lisnaskea. Love down around there. Like the wee town as well, Lisnaskea, but
We all know where that is.
yeah, I know. It's because they do great ice cream.
Chicken goujons.
That is the perfect 2-course meal. Chicken goujons and ice cream.
For anyone who hasn't listened to the previous episode, there was at length discussion about Chicken Goujon Mountain, which was the deli bar that was in the filling station there. If I'm correct.
It's a summit nobody has reached. There's no flag on top of that mountain, let me tell you.
Plenty of pepper sauce.
After we were talking about it, I was down there and I got a portion, and again, it was right. Just turn the lights off here in the car for 20 minutes.
I have to go to Lisnaskea tomorrow.
Ice cream today, let's ski tomorrow.
Yeah. But just down around Upper Loch Earn, which for any listeners that are international is actually south of Lower Loch Earn. Go and work that out. There's a very valid reason why, but around Upper Loch Earns, for me, it's a lovely part of the world, and it's kind of lesser spotted Ulster for me.
Yeah, and in Crawfordsburn, the hotel there, the Crawfordsburn, it's owned by the Galgorm now, I believe.
Oh, is it?
Well, that would make a lot of sense. I think they've had a bit of a. But they've been fancied up recently. They've got like a spa put into the old courtyard.
They also own
the Crawfordsburn
Inn. Yeah,
the
It's quite
Galgorm.
boutique-y.
yeah.
I wouldn't call it a boutique hotel because it's a wee bit bigger than that, but it would have a good number of rooms, wouldn't it?
Well, the thing that is quite boutique about it is they have, or certainly had, I don't know, I assume they're still there, like different rooms for, which were done in kind of like new and interesting ways. So there was like one of them, there was like a bed which had, I believe, like organ pipes coming up the headstead, and then other.
Be a hell of an alarm clock, wouldn't it?
All right.
I might get that for my son, actually.
It's famously haunted, apparently.
Oh, really?
So much so that I made the mistake of telling it. There was a fella I know was taking his wife to it for their wedding anniversary, and I made the mistake of mentioning it in their company that apparently it's haunted, and she didn't sleep a wink and made him get up at like 5 in the morning and go home. She wouldn't stay in the hotel room. That's honest truth.
Don't forget, for your chance to win fantastic prizes from our rolling monthly competition, just head on over to digitalcircles.click/give or follow the link in the description.
And of course, local businesses is what we do and what we talk about, and we like to give a local business or two a wee bit of credit every time we're on the show. Is there anybody you would like to give a wee bit of credit for doing things very well too?
Brennan's Ice Cream Bar.
I see that coming.
In all seriousness, I think Brennan's is a bit of an institution for a lot of people here, and I do like it. But we were also in a new place in Portrush called Smash in Bird, as in Smash in Bird, but it's an N, right? A wee bit of a pun there. And they do smash burgers and chicken burgers, where the bird comes from.
Well,
And they've just actually done it really right from start to finish. The food was fantastic. It was takeaway, but great burgers and the old dirty fries that a lot of places get wrong. They got it really right. Just the right chips or the right fries that go on it. Some places kind of forget about the chips. Any old chips will do. No, they've done the chips really well. It's not too saucy, as I would sort of say. There's the right amount of sauce, the right amount of ingredients, and then the burgers are exquisite and just really well done. And even the store looks, they've put a bit of effort. It's like what we're talking about David Wine. Putting a bit of effort into it, curating the offer, doing all those things. They do collection, they do delivery as well. So yeah, I'd like to give a big shout out to that. The burger was tremendous, guys. I'll be back.
That sounds like it's going on the list. What?
Oh yeah, very good.
Can't beat a good burger, and dirty fries are good. You get a good portion of those, you're in business. What about you, Michael?
Well, let's see. Sometimes all you have to do to be innovative is take something standard and put it in the right place, I would say. And I'm going back to coffee as per usual here, but the Coffee Port in Strangford is just the best example. And it's family run, local place, and they live in the house right beside the ferry terminal. As you would drive by, the first thing you'd see as you come off the ferry, and they just put a little port in their garden fence.
Takeaway style?
Takeaway style. They have their own roasting machine, like a roaster, I guess, on site. So they roast all their own beans. Great coffee from all over the world, and I just thought it was the bee's knees.
Smashing. When did you get this? Just the other day, Mike? Because I know you'd be down around those parts, so you must have.
I've been in Strangford often enough. It was actually last week, but it was. It was great. Great, and particularly.
Bit of business going through it, bit of footfall.
Oh yeah. I think they're very busy actually, and as I say,
it's coming into that weather for them, as in it's coming into the summertime. So obviously the Portaferry Strangford crossing, the ferry. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people kind of waiting around on it. Yeah. Whenever you're waiting around,
exactly.
What do you get? You get a coffee and sit and chill. Yeah.
And I gotta say, the family-run businesses, just by and large, I find myself going, well, I want to support that. You know, a small family-run thing. I don't know, feels good.
Very controversial, if you don't mind me saying so.
Oh, really?
Well, you had a Portaferry man on last week, and you're banging on about Strangford. I mean, who do you think you are? Since you've done Strangford, so that we don't start a civil war across the Narrows there, I'll do a Portaferry one. It's a wee place called Captain Jack's in Portaferry. Haven't been in a few months, but it's a lovely wee sort of a restaurant type cafe. The food's unbelievable. They give you massive portion sizes and there's a huge menu. Yeah, very traditional. But actually, thinking about it now, it's making me really hungry. I want to go back. They do some really nice, like the likes of a roast dinner, but they also do like burgers and chicken burgers, stuff like that. It's fantastic.
Do they do any ice cream?
I'm sure they do desserts, but
I think I might have to go to Portaferry on Friday.
You've got a full week planned.
I've got a full week planned.
Right, so what you could do, you could go from here, because we're based in St. Field. You could go through down. You go through Dundrum, and you could get a Brennan's. Mm-hmm. You could go to Strangford, get a coffee, get the ferry to Portaferry, go to Captain Jack's, and then on the way back through Donegal, you could hit the cabin just to sort of.
There we go.
Just to sort out the ice cream overload again,
and then. Take it on the road.
Stop at the Ulster Hospital all the way home
before I go to Liston Ski,
and then Roselawn. Yeah. But no, that was our wee list of businesses, and hopefully you will be able to go and try one or two of them at some stage. But thanks, guys. Thank you for joining me. We covered some stuff, and we've left some stuff for next time. So great to have you here, and thank you for listening.